Hi there everyone, it's Summer Hollingsworth, and today's video is going to be a story time that I am really excited to film. I just recently mentioned this story time in my 25 Facts About Me video, and a lot of you requested for me to tell this story, so I figured, why not? I'm going to tell it for all of you. So today's video is going to be the story of the time that my mom, brother, and I were almost all killed in a car accident. We all definitely should have died from this incident, and it is really a blessing to even be alive. But before I tell any of this story, I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory like I have in my previous video, so I can kind of give you guys an idea of how much this day really impacted my life. So around the time that this happened, I was 7 years old and my brother was 5 years old. Growing up, we were really poor. And I don't mean like we just didn't have everything we wanted. No, like we actually struggled to eat some weeks. There were some weeks where we didn't know if we were gonna eat. Every day was truly a mystery on what lied ahead of us. For instance, we were so poor that if our car was to break down, we were completely fucked. There was a good chance we would be evicted from where we lived. We could end up homeless. It was that much of a struggle. The company that my mom had worked for had also just gone out of business, meaning she no longer had a job. A few years after this actually happened, we actually had to go to a homeless shelter to get food to eat because we could not afford to eat. And it wasn't because my mom was lazy or anything. She worked really fucking hard. But raising 2 kids on minimum wage, working full time, is not an easy thing to do. Minimum wage hardly gives you enough to even pay your bills, let alone raise 2 children. But this isn't a video about that. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of how tough things really were when this happened. So like I said before, I was 5 years old, my brother was 7 years old, and we were truly struggling to get by. Things were not easy. Then, out of the blue one day, a guy who we'll call Bill contacted my mom. And Bill was my mom's first love. She was the guy that she first fell in love with. She must have still had some small amount of feelings for him because she was talking to him a lot, and he ended up inviting us to come stay with him for a few weeks in California. If everything had worked out like my mom planned, we were to stay with him for a few weeks, see how things went. If they went well, we were gonna possibly move in with them and live with them in California. Mind you, that would definitely have helped our economic situation at the time because we were struggling to even fucking eat. So this seemed like it was a true blessing in disguise, that something in our life had finally gone right. We had a chance to get out of the shithole that we were living in and move in with someone who cared about my mom. But the one thing of value that she did have to her name was her truck. This truck had been given to her by her mom, or my grandma, who had, by the way, just passed away about a year prior. It had a couple bills left on it, but my mom paid it off, thankfully. So we had one very valuable thing to our name, and it was that truck. So after Bill talked to my mom, convinced her to come out there, we finally decided to take that chance. One morning, we woke up at about 6 a.m. and we loaded almost everything that we had to our name, all our bikes, all our furniture, almost everything that we had to our fucking name in the back of this truck. As we're getting done packing up all of our stuff into the back of this truck, oddly enough, I'm not kidding you, six fucking black cats come up to my mom's truck and start rubbing all over my mom's legs and all over our tires and all over everything. And my mom isn't really one to believe in superstitions, neither am I, but that still was enough to completely offset all of our moods that day. It made us all feel really uneasy, kind of scared, a little bit nervous, but we tried to brush it off. But still, we had my mom's roommate check out the tires. By the way, this guy ended up being a fucking piece of shit later. I have a serious story time to tell you about this guy. If you guys want to hear about this piece of shit, also let me know below because there's a great story to tell about him. Anyways, so we have this roommate check out our tires. He drives them around, he takes it to the gas station, checks the PSI, all that good stuff, puts enough air in it, not too much, but he puts enough air in it to make sure they're all good for the drive, checks it for nails, everything, and there's nothing wrong with the tires whatsoever. After we checked out the tires, we're like, okay, we need to get going, it's getting a little bit later, it's already almost 7 o'clock, we need to get on the road. So we go to strap in. Because my brother and I were 5 and 7 at the time, we were both supposed to be riding in car seats. So before we left, we had to make sure that those car seats were strapped into the car. We tried for probably 30 or 45 minutes straight to get these fucking car seats in the car, and they would not go in. We tried everything to get them in this car, and they just would not work. So after 45 minutes of trying, my mom and a roommate are both like, fuck it, we'll just have them buckle up, they'll be fine, it's not the end of the world. We're just going to California, we're not driving to Florida or anywhere crazy fucking far. So we give up, get ready to go, finish all our last little checks for the car, and we get on the road. Everything was going fucking great. We're all excited to go to California, we're driving there, my mom's going 65, she didn't want to go above the speed limit, she wanted to be safe. You know, we're all having a great fucking time, listening to music, we're all buckled up obviously like we should be. And then I'd say about an hour and a half into the drive, all of a sudden we hear a loud boom, and the car kind of shakes a little bit, and we're like, did we just hit something? And my mom's like, wait, I think I might have just blew a tire. Oh shit. I'm shit you not. This is what she says to me and my brother. Don't worry guys, I've had a million tires pop on me before. This used to happen to my mom and I when we were driving all the time. It's no big deal guys. I'm gonna pull over. We got an extra tire in the back. We'll fix it. And then mid-sentence, things go from completely controlled and chilling to oh fuck. As she starts to pull over, all of a sudden our car begins to fishtail. Mind you, we're going 65 fucking miles an hour. It begins to fishtail. If you don't know what fishtailing is, that's literally going like this. And it starts to fishtail across 2 lanes on the highway and going back and forth. That causes me and my brother to start fucking screaming like, ah, ah. My mom's trying to keep it under control. She's like, oh, it's all good, it's all good. Shit, it's all good, guys. Shit. Normally a car wouldn't do that just because of a popped tire, but if you haven't forgotten, we had everything we owned practically in the back of our truck. So the weight of like a couple hundred, maybe even 1,000 pounds in the bed of our truck caused us to slowly start to fishtail because there's so much weight that when the tire popped, it shifted the car and just led us to completely fishtailing out of control. My mom knows that you're not supposed to touch the brake if one of your tire pops. It's what they tell you. You are never supposed to touch the brake if you have a tire pop. So she doesn't, but she's trying to keep it under control. It's trying to make us calm down, and she can't. Before we know it, we went from doing a 360 in the center of a highway to rolling a total of 6 times across our 2 lanes of the highway, the center portion of the highway. There's no median, it was just dirt. We roll all the way across that and across oncoming fucking traffic, which is coming at 65 to 80 miles per hour towards us. We roll across it, miss a couple of cars, and land on the other side of the highway. During all of this, I look over at my brother and I see all of our windows breaking at once. The windshield and both side windows breaking at once, and I just see him covering his face and seeing glass cover all of us. Every single time that we rolled, our roof caved in more and more. It was like boom, 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 getting closer and closer to our heads. If my brother and I had both been in that car seat like we were supposed to that day, the roof would have caved in and smashed our skulls and or decapitated both of us. That alone is completely unbelievable. We were both so close to dying that day. One decision prevented us from dying. And what was also weird was while flipping 5 or 6 times, it didn't feel like 5 or 6 flips. To me, it felt like one really long flip. When I got out, I'd only thought that we'd flipped 1 time, but no, apparently we'd flipped 5 or 6 times. While all of this was happening, you'd think maybe there'd be a lot of thoughts going through my head, but it was the complete opposite. Instead of my mind being full of thoughts and worried and thinking a lot, it was just blank. All I knew was that I was completely frozen in fear, like I was a statue in this car, frozen. I'd always thought that if I was close to dying, I'd have so many things running through my head, thinking about my parents or thinking about what's going on, but no. It was blank, a blank slate in my mind. Also, I talked to my mother, and she said during this accident, she looked over at my brother and I sitting next to her and thought, this is it. This is how we all die. We're screwed. There's no way we're making it out of this alive. We're completely screwed. We landed on the other side of the highway, right next to a massive ravine. And by massive, I mean that we were probably about 15 feet away from falling another 60 or 70 feet. Thankfully, our car stopped, because if we would have fallen down that, we would have definitely died. If we would have gotten hit by a car coming at us 80 miles per hour, we would have definitely died. But somehow, no cars hit us, and we landed right next to that. So our car lands, there's dust everywhere, we can't see shit. We all get out, and by the time we've gotten out of our car, I don't know how long we were in there, but by the time we get out, there are probably 30 or 40 people standing outside of our car, all bawling their fucking eyes out, crying hysterically, and we're all still in shock, just like, what the fuck? Holy shit, what just happened? This family of 4 come up to us and they say, holy shit, you are so lucky to be alive. When we made it to your car, the only thing that we thought we were going to find was a bunch of chopped up people, that you were all going to be fucking dead, because that was one of the worst accidents that we have ever seen in our entire lives. And mind you, me, my brother, and my mom were still all completely out of it, like, what the fuck is going on? They give us a bunch of water. My mom is a complete mess. She's fucking talking to herself. She looks like she's lost her mind. It looks like she's drunk. She was completely sober, by the way, but she looks like she is gonzo. All these people hand us water. They're all making sure we're okay, doing their best to comfort all of us, because we all look like we just literally died. And while all of this is going on, I notice that both my lips are busted, my nose is bleeding heavily, and I have a massive welt on my face, and I have no idea where it came from. For at least 10 minutes, I sit there and think about it, and then I remember that we had an ice chest under my feet while we were driving. This ice chest had at least 60 or 70 pounds worth of food and drinks in it. It was completely packed to the brim. After this accident, the ice chest was nowhere to be found. So the only possible explanation of where it could have went was in my fucking face. It smacked me going God knows how fast and busted my face open. Thankfully, that was the least of my worries. While we're sitting there, the shock somewhat starts to wear off. Obviously, it didn't completely, but my arm starts hurting extremely bad. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with it. I think that it's broken. I still probably never felt a pain as intense as that moment in my entire life, but it just literally feels like my arm is broken. One of the ladies that pulled over comes up to me and tells me that you need to get to the hospital, you might have internal bleeding, you could die. It freaks me the fuck out even more, freaks my mom out even more, freaks my brother out even more. So we get an ambulance called right away, and we are just hoping that they make it to me because I don't know what's wrong with me. I think this lady thinks I could possibly be dying for all I know. And while we're sitting there, all these cars are obviously coming by, slowing down, looking, you know how cars do when they see an accident, they look on the side of the road. A guy with 2 kids is looking at us and apparently swerves and falls off the other side of the road and rolls his fucking car as well. So now there's 2 cars, 1 car on each side of the road, crash, and people are obviously slowing down, freaking the fuck out. Ambulances get there, they think that they might have to ride in the same ambulance as us, they don't know what the hell is going on. They end up just taking my family and I to the hospital, which was located in Barstow. It was about a 30-minute ride away, and all I could think about was the intense pain that I was feeling in my arm. Bawling my eyes out, worried to hell that I finally broke a bone, freaking out because I'm gonna have to get needles put in me probably, and bawling even harder because of that. And to say the least, it was one of the most frightening rides I've ever had in my life. I still have never had to ride an ambulance ever again. So we make it to the hospital, and I'm crying hysterically, bawling my fucking eyes out because I'm in so much pain. They x-ray my mom and I because she felt as if her hip had been broken or cracked. So they x-ray her, and the whole way going, and I'm just telling myself, I broke my fucking arm. I broke it. I broke it. My arm is fucking broken. This sucks so bad. And I was in such a state of shock that I actually repeated that in my own head probably over 1,000 times within that like 30 minutes to an hour period that I was getting x-rayed. I just kept telling myself, I broke it. I broke it. I broke it. I broke it, man. I fucking broke my arm, man. Yeah, I was 7, so I'm bawling my fucking eyes out. I've never met a 7-year-old in my life that doesn't cry over some serious shit like that. So we get my mom's x-rays. She's fine. The only thing wrong with her, which they couldn't see at the time, but she had bruising on probably about 75% of her body. Like her entire body was bruised. She looked like a beet. Like she had every single color of the rainbow all over her body. Like these were massive bruises. One all across her chest from the seatbelt, one all across her stomach, her legs. Everything was completely fucked up on her body. Luckily, she hadn't broken anything and she was okay. I get my x-rays back and they're like, well, you didn't break your arm. And I'm like, wow, then why the fuck does my arm hurt so bad? Am I just being a pussy? And they say, but you bruised your humerus bone, which if you didn't know, that's your main arm bone. And they tell me the reason you're feeling as much pain as you are is because a bruised bone actually hurts more than actually breaking a bone, which I was shocked to hear. I was like, what the fuck? It hurts more to bruise a bone than break it? Are you kidding me? They're like, yeah, that's why you're in so much pain. I'm like, well, at least I'm not being a puss. So I was happy because I didn't break it, but I was still in a shitload of pain for quite some time. Right after that though, you'll never believe what happened. Because we were too poor to afford health insurance, they kicked us out of the fucking hospital. Well, you guys are all okay, you're not dying. Have a nice fucking day, deuce. That's pretty fucked up. The world is a really fucked up place if you think about it. That really sucks. So we get kicked out. And as we walk outside, something happens that my mom personally still believes to this day was a message from God. We walk outside and there's this guy walking around with the Bible. He looks at my mom, my brother, and I and says, you guys really know you're lucky to be alive? I see a lot of crashes out here, and yours is one of the worst that I've heard about. And for you to all still be completely okay is a true blessing. God is trying to tell you something. And then he paused for a couple of seconds, looked at my mom, and said, wherever you are going, don't go there. God clearly does not want you to go that way. So I suggest you go back to wherever you came because all of you are lucky to be alive. And to say the very least, that fucking shook my mom. She was freaking the hell out. Right after seeing this man and having that really kind of weird experience, my mom said, okay, we need to go get something to eat. And we walked across the street and got some food. While in that bathroom, my mom went to go look at herself in the mirror and try to clean herself up. And she said that she had literally a ½ inch of dirt caked on her face, all around her face. It was just stuck to her face because the area we crashed in was just a dirty desert. And then she also ran her fingers through her hair, and when she got to her ponytail, she went to clean dirt off of it, and the entire fucking ponytail fell out of her head because of how stressed out she was. In fact, she lost hair for a very, very long time after this whole endeavor, and she still has like a partial bald spot to this day because of that. Anyway, so we're eating our food, and as a group, we really just sat there and broke down because the shock kind of started to wear off, and we all just sat in a circle hospital and bawled our fucking eyes out for probably close to an hour. It was right around that time also that we realized we lost the one fucking thing that we really had left to help us in our life, our truck. Because of this accident, our car was towed, and once again, we were too poor to afford anything besides liability insurance, meaning if someone hits us that they're covered, but if we get into an accident, we're fucked. Because of that cheap insurance, our car was completely fucked. Not only that, it was towed and like impounded, and for us to get it back was around $500. The car was completely fucked. I have a picture of it actually for everyone. The engine was still intact. So if we had put in a lot of work into this car, it might have been saved, but we didn't have the fucking money to get the car out. So all we really could do was go and collect all of our fucking mangled bikes and belongings that still weren't completely destroyed because there weren't many. But we went and collected the little things that we could. While getting all of our shit, a policeman comes up to us and says, "I hope you all really know how lucky you are to be alive. This highway is reported as the most dangerous highway in the United States, and the amount of people that I have seen die on this highway is greater than the people that I've seen survive. All of you should be so thankful to be alive." And that was really all I needed to kind of brighten my day. You know, while everything may have gone to complete shit, I was alive. And that is what is truly important. I didn't die that day. If I had died that day, I wouldn't even be able to sit here and tell these stories to you. My life hadn't even started yet. I was 7 years old. While talking to this cop, he also gave us back all of our canned food that we brought along, and on the canned food was inches of caked dirt from the heavy impact that came from flying at like 40 or 50 miles per hour. That cop also told us that they found a can of beans over a mile away from our accident. That should give you an idea of how much centripetal force was spinning us around. They found a can of beans a mile away. And that ice chest, by the way, that I told you was so full and smacked me in the fucking face, was never found. Ever. It was never, ever, ever found. It literally busted my fucking face up and was like, "Deuces, I'm out." So after talking to all of these people and realizing how lucky that we are to be alive, my mom took that guy's advice with the Bible that I told you about earlier and decided that, yeah, we are not going the right direction. We should have died in that accident, so I'm not going to continue the direction that we are currently going. So we used the last of our money, and I mean like the last money that we possibly had to our name, and we bought Greyhound bus tickets back home. To say the very least, after all of this, our life was a fucking shit show. My mom had no job, we now had no car, and no money. And no help from anyone, by the way. We practically almost never received help from anyone. This accident is actually what led us to at one point having to go to like a homeless shelter and get food at a homeless shelter because we were so fucked that we had no other choice, because it was either don't eat or admit defeat and go to a homeless shelter to get food. It took a long time for us to recover from all of this. Through trying to recover from all this, we are fucked over by that roommate that I told you about early in the video. We were also fucked over by him within the next year. So life was not easy. And I'm not trying to say my life was so much harder than anyone else's. I'm just trying to express to you how shitty my life was at one point and how thankful that I am for the changes that have happened within my life to lead me to where I am today. And I want to thank all of you that are currently watching for watching my videos and supporting me, because it really does mean a lot. Big time. You guys are fucking awesome. If you like this video, please leave a like below. Please subscribe. Please give me some feedback. I love reading your comments. Like I've said before, I read every single comment on every video, and I'm not kidding about that. I really do. Follow me on all my social media below. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. Have a great day, everyone. Peace.